First of all, I would like to thank the International Press Association for inviting me to meet with you, and I would like to thank you all for your interest. Naturally, I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. To answer your questions in brief, so that we can leave as much time as possible for our friends. I have never been offered any money by anyone to alter any issue that I am responsible for, including this case of snus, either directly or indirectly. And I say this categorically. As far as this resignation is concerned, I have stated this several times before. I was confronted with this without prior notice. I did not know that this report by OLAF was concluded, and I was not informed of any conclusion. By the way, I am still not informed, as of this minute, of the basis on which OLAF reached their conclusions. Not to this minute. I still don't know what the arguments or motivation of the OLAF's conclusions are. However, the President said, by reading a couple of pages from a file that I had in front of him, that I was to resign, or naturally has the prerogative to dismiss. So after some discussion, because I was objecting heavily to this type of conclusion, I told him I would resign, and in effect he asked for my written resignation, which I never gave him at the end. As far as what was the third question?
Are you satisfied with the letter from Barroso?
Well, I received the letter from Barroso this afternoon. Prima facie, it does not change anything from what I have written to the President myself. Naturally, now this is a question that I will be discussing with the lawyer. But it does not give any satisfaction at all. It does not, in the first place, give the reason why I was forced to resign. I believe that the least one would expect as part of their civil rights is to be told, when an action is taken against them, what is the basis of that action. So I want to make this very clear again. Up till this minute, I don't know what is the motivation of my dismissal from the Commission. I just have the statement that OLAF arrived at a conjecture that I knew what was happening between this Maltese entrepreneur and the snus, which I categorically denied every time.
Okay, thanks a lot for a quick statement. We have a microphone here, but perhaps we can try to do it without the microphone. So starting with Daniela Weingärtner and then Bruno, and then I came up with the others. Can you raise your hand again? Okay.
Mr. Dalli, I'm here. Can you hear me like that?
I can hear you.
Okay. The representative of Swedish Match here in Brussels, he told various newspapers that he had two meetings with you, one in January and one in February, and that after the February meeting, your friend Mr. Silvio Zammit stayed in the room when you already left, and then this offer of the famous 63 million was made. Did you meet Mr. Hippenson at all, and did you meet him in January and February?
I did not meet Mr. Henderson either in January or in February. I had met, as I have said before, somebody from a lobby of tobacco. I don't know whether it is the same gentleman or not. I don't remember his name. That was back in August of 2010. And as I have stated several times, he simply gave me two reports by Pricewaterhouse to prove to me how economically beneficial the tobacco industry is. But I deny completely ever meeting this Mr. Hidison either in January or in February.
Do you know?
Did you declare all your meetings with representatives of the tobacco industry? Surely you are aware of the WH rules concerning such meetings. Have you provided your diary to OLAF to prove that you were unable to attend these meetings in Malta? And surely you're aware of the fact that if you are asked to resign by the President of the European Commission, you have to.
Now, for the last question, the answer is yes, and that is why, in effect, the resignation was made, and I'm saying I was forced to resign. And this is the whole basis of the issue. All I've said in my letter to the President is to go through a procedure where he requests me to resign, as he has a right to do. I have never denied that right, and then I will reply and I will give him my resignation in writing. As to my diary, my diary was accessible to OLAF, except for some meetings I make in Malta, which I don't keep on a diary really, but I would have some notes in Malta. And in effect, I told OLAF about all the meetings that I had with both Mr. Zammit and anybody representing that he was suggesting. There were these two meetings, as I said, one in August of 2010 and the other on the 6th of January of 2012, where a young lawyer came with Mr. Zammit to ask about what is the position of snus. I don't consider those as substantial meetings for reporting.
The Croatian colleague, please. No, you. No, okay. Yeah, it was a spectacle, yes, please. Would you please inform us about your...
Sure, from the Wall Street Journal. I want to ask Mr. Dalli three quite specific questions. The first one is on the January 6th meeting that you talked about at the weekend, just mentioned Bruno now. As you say, there was a Maltese lawyer there who was representing Swedish Match. She was not employed by Swedish Match, but she was a lobbyist for them. Given that you have always stressed transparency in any dealing with the tobacco industry, why did you not declare that meeting, take minutes of that meeting, alert the Commission of that meeting? First question. Second question is on February the 10th. My understanding is that you met with Mr. Zammit on February the 10th, which is a bank holiday in Malta, and that was just before the allegation that he asked for money, which actually wasn't, I understand, in the same meeting. It was in a different meeting he had with the Maltese lobbyists, the Swedish Match.
I want to ask to limit you to two questions that all other colleagues have the possibility to raise their question.
Why did you tell OLAF initially that that meeting did not happen? Because you were interviewed just a few months later, and then I gather you told them that in fact that meeting did happen. Can you explain why that it was? And my final question is, do you accept that holding meetings with anyone in the tobacco industry that you were aware of and not recording it was a mistake on your part? I'm talking in particular about the January 6th meeting. Do you regret it, and can you again explain why you did it?
No, in effect, again, these questions turn around the same thing. First of all, the meeting on the 6th of January. Again, this young lawyer did not come to me as a lobbyist. This young lawyer came to me as wanting to know what is the situation about snus. My understanding at that meeting was that she was trying to get some type of relationship with snus later on. And I've explained to her what is the situation about snus. That was his.
Please.
Yes,
sorry,
Mr. Zammit was with her in that meeting. So,
he didn't tell you who she was. He didn't tell you it was a lobbyist for Swedish Match.
No, he didn't tell me she's a lobbyist for Swedish Match. He told me that there's this young lawyer who wanted to gather information about snus. So this is the situation. As far as the meetings, in effect, when OLAF first talked to me and they were mentioning meetings. They mentioned 2 meetings. One, they said, was supposed to happen on the 4th of February and one on the 10th of February. I didn't remember any meetings at that time. In fact, 10th of February, as you said, is a public holiday. I don't normally have meetings on public holidays, therefore it's something that I couldn't remember. But when I went to Malta and I checked with some details, in fact, I found out that, first of all, on the 4th of February, there couldn't have been any meeting because I was not in Malta on that date. Okay? And then on the 10th of February, I did meet Mr. Zammit. In fact, I had about 3 or 4 meetings during that date because it was the single day that I was in Malta. And I told OLAF that meeting centered on the fact that Mr. Zammit was accepted as a candidate to contest the local elections in Malta, which he in fact contested about 4 weeks later, and was elected. But and naturally to ask me to help him in getting him some support in the constituency. So that was the gist of that meeting. After that, I have not, and I have made it very, very clear that after the 6th of January, after that meeting that we had, I never discussed anything about snus or tobacco with Zammit or this woman or anybody else.
Colleague in the second row. Sorry, I ask you to respect the rules which are quite... No, we have the opportunity for separate interviews.
Which question? No, in fact, this is, again, meeting people is part, I believe, part of being informed. Sorry. Meeting people is part of being informed. Once those meetings are not substantial meetings at all, somebody handing you a document is not a substantial meeting, and somebody coming to ask you a question is not a substantial meeting. And therefore I do not have any regrets, no, because I didn't do anything that in any way influenced my decisions, as in fact is proven by the course of events, because nobody seems to really take into perspective the fact that some weeks later, in fact at the end of February, I concluded my position on the tobacco directive with my services, and I concluded it in a way that when then, on the 16th of March, the snus lobby, ESTOC, wrote to Mr. Zammit, they told him, we are hearing very disturbing news in Brussels. So these were decisions that they simply did not like. So this shows, in fact, that even any of these type of meetings were absolutely not influential at all.
Next question, colleague, second row, please.
Charlie Dunmore from Reuters News. Could I just ask what you're looking for? I mean, you're contesting the circumstances of your resignation. Presumably you're not looking to get your old job back, but what exactly are you looking for from President Barroso? And second question, have you asked Mr. Zammit whether he made any offer of affecting legislation in return for money on your behalf? Have you asked him whether these allegations from OLAF are true?
In fact, at this point in time, from Mr. Barroso, I want a vindication of my name, as usual. I mean, this is a very serious decision that Mr. Barroso took. Very serious. It will damage my whole future. And it will damage the future of all my family. So all I'm asking is to rectify this situation. It's not a question of getting your job back or not getting your job back. The main issue is to rectify it. I have been through this before in Malta. The same type of thing, and very parallel to what is happening here. Very parallel. Okay? Very much the same. Of a report that was made against me, and then the writer of this report was sentenced to 2 years in jail for fraud. Okay? for making this report. So these are things that are very worrying. As far as Mr. Zammit is concerned, I have, in fact, sent a letter to Mr. Zammit through my lawyer, holding him responsible for any damages that I could suffer. He replied that he in no way has ever made any communication to anybody in my name or involved me in any way. Now, naturally, I still have to see the report, which I haven't seen, which will then give me the basis of action against whoever is involved.
The colleague, please.
It's a variation of this one, Maltese record with the País.
Pardon.
The question is that you knew that he was, Mr. Zammit was using your name. You are saying that
the allegation
that's not
is
the case,
Uh-huh.
and that he was asking
Money.
on your behalf money. That you knew that he was asking money on your behalf.
Which I deny completely.
And the second question is, you are prepared to go to the court to clear your name?
Absolutely.
To fight in the court, the Commission, and President Barroso?
After this press conference, I have a meeting with the lawyers, and I have stayed here. I will be staying here all day tomorrow as well to continue with this meeting, because I want, as quick as possible, a plan of action for legal recourse.
The Italian colleague and then Jeremy.
Marco, Commissioner, we try to put ourselves in your place, but put yourself in our place. It appears that you met this lawyer, which
Yes.
incidentally is from Malta.
Yes?
And she was introduced to you by somebody who
Yes.
I think is the person of your trust in that moment, which is Mr. Zammit.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't...
And
okay, complete. Uh-huh.
I would like to know about this more.
Uh-huh.
But and OLAF thinks that as proof that she was working for Swedish Match.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you prevent yourself from not thinking that she was lobbying with your name?
Because
Swedish Match.
No.
I mean, that's,
Listen,
if you see the facts, it looks obvious. So try to convince
No.
me of the contrary.
no. First of all, she did not come to me as a lobbyist. She was asking questions. She was not making an argument. She was not trying to persuade me into any line of thought or any line of action. She was simply gathering information about what is the position of snus. So we were not discussing or negotiating in any way.
In her spare time, she was defending snus in her spare time.
I don't know what she was doing, to tell you the truth. I don't know, but she didn't know much about snus, I can tell you. Okay, because she was asking the basic questions about the situation of snus in the situation. As far as then not knowing, I didn't know that there was any communication going on. And that is the reality. I was completely unaware of any communication that is going on. And what OLAF is concluding, saying, I knew and I did not report. And my retort on that is, I did not know. I was totally not aware of any of this communication. And naturally then, I couldn't have reported something I didn't know or something I was not aware of.
Jeremy and then Stefan Israel.
Are you going to challenge Barroso's decision to ask you to resign? Do you believe that was a wrong decision in law? And secondly, the Commission has said that it will not put your tobacco directive into service consultation until a new Maltese Commissioner is in place. Do you see any reason, is there a good reason why the directive should not go to inter-service consultation before then?
About challenging the decision, I will. In fact, this is also the process that I have to go through. I think the decision was wrong from what I know today, which is not much. And I will solidify that decision once I know the report. Because the report should be stating now what are the basis of these circumstantial evidence that OLAF is defining. Let me repeat, I don't know at the moment. Therefore, really, the basis of my action cannot be defined precisely. But my intention is to challenge the decision of the President. My decision is to challenge the decisions of OLAF and the way that OLAF has gone through the whole procedure. Let me give you one piece of information. I was in Strasbourg yesterday, and I met some MEPs, and I'm appreciative very much of the support that I have, but by many MEPs from all colors, from all the political hue. I was very, very much appreciative of that. And I was informed, and you can check this, that up till Monday night, the supervisory authority, which is supposed to vet all OLAF reports before they go out, had not yet approved the OLAF report. Check that, okay? And check whether it has been approved up till now. I don't know whether in the process they approved it. But up till last month, I am informed, okay, that there was not disapproval. In fact, there was disapproval of some of the content of the report.
Stefan Israel and then...
So just on the tobacco directive?
On the tobacco directive, the tobacco directive was supposed to be launched in inter-services last Monday. But naturally, the previous Tuesday, the commissioner disappeared. And what can happen is that it can continue. I think this is an inter-service consultation. This is an administrative process. It's between the director generals and the directorates of the various commissioners. And then they come to a text, and then it's translated. It takes another month, etc., for translation. So I don't think that there is any reason why, in effect, this process should be halted. The only thing is that waiting for the other commissioner, I'm afraid, from what I have been told, and I'm not much experienced in this, but from what I have been told, that waiting for the other commissioner, which could take January at best, for him to be placed, to be put into place, and then naturally wait to launch the inter-service directive, which would be February or March, hoping that it's in the same format that it is today, because it could be diluted by then. The fear is that could push the directive out of the timetable of Parliament for this legislature, because then the elections will be coming, and something like tobacco is something that MEPs wouldn't like to be discussing on the eve of an election, etc., etc., etc. Which means that it will move into the next legislature, which means that it has to start from scratch.
Stefan?
This is what I'm being informed.
If I understand you well, your theory is a bit that there was a trap by the tobacco lobby. Do you have more indications or even proofs for that? And secondly, if the case is so clear as you presented, why your government is not supporting it?
Well, as far as this trap is concerned, I think one consideration only is that the tobacco industry offered money to this Mr. Zammit to make meetings with me. We have that. I have proof of that, because there's an email asking for this on the 16th of March. It seems that after that they were discussing money. They didn't agree about the money, and then they reported it to the Commission. So the people who started to offer money made the report.
Next two questions over there. Yes.
You see? My government, naturally, is. I have a very precarious position with my government, unfortunately. Back in 2004, I had contested the leadership of the party with the present Prime Minister. I have already told you about the incident I happened to 2004 when he was just 6 months into government, when he forced me to resign from foreign minister because of these false reports, which turned out to be false, and the perpetrator sent to jail. He never called me back into cabinet after that, by the way. And now I believe that now there could be interests that with an election coming, that they could see as an opportunity rather than something that is wrong for them.
Please.
Ivan Cao, the Central News Agency from Taiwan. Mr. Dalli, did you find any political motivation towards you in this case? Thank you.
I have just been saying it. I mean, I don't think there is any political motivation in Europe. I was never thinking of contesting the office of the presidency. Therefore, I don't think there's a question of that. But in Malta, yes, there could be political motivation.
Okay, please. Go ahead.
Can you clarify, did you resign or not? Be it forced by Barroso or not? Do you understand that you didn't send resignation, but did you orally resign, as Commission is saying? And the second question on the meeting of this young lawyer from Malta. I mean, when we ask questions to somebody, the purpose is that we need information to write. Have you ever asked why is she interested in information that we can provide?
No, as far as resigning, verbally in the office of Barroso, I did tell him I will resign. Okay.
You said that, sorry for my understanding of English, I would, so it's a future. But
no, I will.
Resign.
No, I told him I will resign. I told him I will resign. But, question of immediate, I told him I will resign. In fact, Barroso told me now send me the written resignation, and I did not send the written resignation. But again, I keep repeating, okay? When during all this discussion, I told Barroso, I told him, look, give me at least 24 hours to think this through and to seek legal advice. And his answer was, I give you 30 minutes.
The question behind
about this young girl, about this young lawyer, okay? The issue is she came to ask questions. Now, I think she was asking questions because probably she wanted to make some overture to the snus people in the future. I don't know. But she was asking questions. She was not making statements to me, or she was not making any type of positions about snus to me. Okay? She did not have any position about snus, and she simply wanted information. And I told her the position that we have in the Commission, that snus is banned in Europe, except for Sweden.
Next question behind the camera and then in front of you.
This is Ralph Casco, the Associated Press. Mr. Dalli, you said that you're going to challenge the President on the way he treated you during the discussion. I mean, so why did you tell him that you would resign? I mean, there was no gun to your head, and you're an experienced politician who knows what should be done and what your rights are. Why, in fact, at that point, did you then resign?
Because again, what was the question? The question is, you resign or you're forced to resign. You are forced to resign. I mean, because I have the prerogative that I remove you.
Why would you not prefer to be removed and say,
I wanted legal advice at that point in time. Okay? I wanted legal advice to see what my options are. And in fact, that legal advice was not afforded to me.
Please, in front.
Mr. Dalli, in what court are you going to challenge Mr. Barroso's decision, in Malta or here in Belgium? And secondly, are you saying that OLAF has been fabricating allegations against you? And if yes, to what purpose?
Well, in which courts I will proceed, naturally I have to take the advice of my lawyers. I have Malta, I have the public prosecutor here in Belgium, and I have the Luxembourg, I believe, Human Rights Court. Therefore, all these are possibilities. Maybe or Strasbourg. I'm not a lawyer, therefore I have to be led in this. I will have to be directed naturally by my lawyers what action. But you do understand at the moment all we're going by is the public declarations. Okay, we don't have the report in our hands. And it is when we have the report on our hands that we can really make our decisions.
Yeah. So the next question over here, then colleague on the bottom, and then
from the Financial Times. Mr. Dalli, you explained what you think Swedish Match was up to, but you haven't explained why you think President Barroso was so quick to press for your resignation on seemingly flimsy evidence. Why do you think he did this? And my other question is, had you met this young lawyer before, and are you in the habit of just taking meetings with random people who want to ask you about tobacco? I mean, I think that's very hard to believe. I turn down meetings, many meetings every day from people in this town. I can't believe that a young lawyer can simply call up and say, I'd like to learn more about snus. Do you have time in your schedule?
Yes, I have time on my schedule to meet everybody. When I'm in Malta, I meet everybody on any type of question. I'm accessible to everyone. Malta is not 50 million people, okay? And I talk to anybody who asks to meet me, okay? I never met this young lawyer before.
First question about what do you think the motivation was?
The motivation of Barroso, naturally, I'm not going to make any judgments on people's motivations, which I cannot prove. Okay?
You're a victim of it, and like you say, it has damaged your future, it is damaging the future of
yeah,
your
but still, I cannot presume that I can go into people's mind and see what they are thinking. But the facts, naturally, can show. Was this because being faced with such a report, again, which I don't know the content of, therefore I cannot really imagine what type of effect it would have had. Barroso thought it will be damaging for the Commission if he retained it 1 minute without taking action. Was it on the 10th that he had the report? That's another question. Was it again the fact that the directive was going to start its course of implementation in a few days? But these are all questions, and I'm not going to answer them.
So next question from the bottom of Malbec, please.
Thank you. Mr. Dalli, you said earlier that the same people who started to offer the money made the report. And my question to you is whether, by saying that, you're saying that the tobacco lobby through Swedish Match wanted to give the money and submitted the report, or whether it was Swedish Match that was giving the money for the report. I mean,
I believe.
Can you be any more specific about that?
No, I think the people who offered the money were a stop, which is a confederation of smokeless tobacco. And the people who made the report were the same people, the Swedish Match and the stop.
Which was the second Swedish Match?
EstoC is the Association of Smokeless Tobacco.
So we have still 5 questions. We have to come to an end in about 15 minutes. So everybody 1 question would be fine. So starting with you. Hey, Jim. Yeah.
Mr. Dalli, do you believe that the Secretary General of the Commission or any other Commission official has acted inappropriately in any way connected to your case? Do you think they have any inappropriate links to the smokeless tobacco industry? Do you think you're a victim of any kind of conspiracy as you have insinuated in interviews in Malta? And if so, could you please elaborate?
No, I do not know of any connections.
Is there any reason to believe that there are any connections?
But again, because I never delved into it. I never suspected anything. And I don't have any indications that will lead me to believe in that.
But you
Yeah.
have actually...
I didn't insinuate anything. What I stated was a sequence of events. And then it's up to everybody to take their conclusions. I didn't insinuate any intentions. I simply stated a sequence of events. We had to issue on the 22nd, I think, of August. We had to start the inter-service consultation of the tobacco directive. It was stopped. It was supposed to start again in the beginning of October. It was stopped again. And then it was again, was supposed to start last Monday. And it was stopped again. This is what I'm saying. Now, who took those decisions and why?
So why do you think you've been treated the way you have? Because you're contesting the reaction?
One of the things really is I'm treated the way I am because I didn't succumb to any pressures to dilute the tobacco directive.
The colleague in front, please.
Mr. Dalli, first of all, there was a resignation letter that was said to have been offered to you, been circulating in the press. Is that resignation letter accurate? And secondly, given that you were resigned under a provision of the Lisbon Treaty that enables the President of the Commission to resign a Commissioner without any consultations, would you say that it would be important for transparency for President Barroso to face the press on this issue?
Again, basically, the letter of resignation that is appearing in the press, I don't know, I haven't seen it, therefore I cannot really judge on that. But I believe even if this prerogative is exercised, and I can understand why it should be exercised. However, at least the motivation behind it should be transparent and clear. So far, they are not. As far as I have been saying, so far, I've been made to resign, okay, on this basis, but I don't know why.
Maria Laura.
In a way, you resigned in order to save the rest of the Commission, but you also have to defend your own reputation. And I think, are you going to fight the nomination of another commissioner in your place? Because this would not defend your cause.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with my cause. In fact, although I'm saying that, again, I need a written request for resignation and I will resign, I'm saying I will resign in writing. I'm not saying I will refuse to resign in writing. I never said that. I said I will resign. All I need is a request to resign in writing, and I will resign in writing. This is my clear. Therefore, a new commissioner from Malta, I think, should be appointed, and I would assist him in a way to try and get himself through the process, hoping that he will maintain the tobacco directive as we have prepared it.
Mr. Dalli, trainer from Regation, your fundamental position seems to be that basically you had to go, you've been forced to go because you were resisting big tobacco pressure on the legislation. Do you have any evidence whatsoever of other connections between that lobby, which must not have been seen to be successful, and other parts of the Commission?
No, as far as proof, as I said, there can be, I don't have any proof, and I have said this before, I cannot pinpoint any contracts or agreements or money passing from somebody to somebody. It's not the case. I don't have any, as is in my case.
I'm talking about political influence between parts of
No,
the Commission and
listen. As far as the lobbyists are concerned, all I know is that they have been lobbying all the Commission, and they have been meeting all the commissioners and their staff over the past months. Because many services have been informing me of an onslaught in the Commission by the tobacco by the tobacco lobby on other commissioners and other commissioner services.
So I have 3 more questions. First you, and then Bruno, and then...
In today's letter, President Barroso said that you had several occasions to clarify your position beforehand. And could you please tell us more in detail about that meeting? What did Barroso say? What did you answer? How did he force you?
No, in effect, I cannot understand. And I don't know of any one instance when I had any occasion to, as he said it, argue or to present my positions. I've tried to present my positions, but absolutely to deaf ears. I mean, we spent an hour repeating the same things, basically. One saying I have to resign, and one saying that I should not resign. And that I wanted some time for reflection. This is the whole meeting, nothing specific.
How long?
It took about an hour, just repeating this same thing.
But why did you accept to resign then? If you have
Because I had no choice. I did nothing wrong, and there was no choice. The door was open, and it's simply walk out or be thrown out.
But why didn't you allow the President to use his prerogatives to dismiss you?
Because I couldn't do otherwise. I don't have any right not to let him use his prerogative.
Mr. Dalli, do you really think it would be politically tenable for you to have remained in your job, to have tabled the tobacco products directive perhaps this week or perhaps next week, and then, having tabled that directive, for these allegations and the reality of your undeclared meeting, at least one undeclared meeting with a tobacco lobbyist, to have come to light? Why was it that all the other services told you about the lobbying from ESTOC, but you didn't tell them about your meeting with ESTOC?
Well, first of all, I heard about what was happening. Nobody was reporting to me any of these meetings. To me, I'm not saying they were not reporting. I said nobody was reporting to me any of these meetings. The second thing is that I maintain there is no proof whatsoever, and there is no reason of any type of wrongdoing. And this was very evident by everyone, okay? Because everyone accepts that there are many of these type of unofficial encounters, let us say, by many commissioners and many lobbyists. Okay, not a young lawyer who was asking questions. I'm talking about, but many lobbyists. Okay, this happens in conferences. This happens in dinners. I mean, where you've made to sit in a certain place next to certain people. It happens all the time, and I don't think these are all reported. I don't think they are. Any of these are reported. Therefore, again, I don't think. First of all, I believe there was no reason for me being made to resign. Absolutely. There was no reason for me to be made to resign. There is still no facts or proof on which that decision was based.
Last 2 questions here in the front, and then colleague in the second row.
Gaspar Sabag with Europolitics Commissioner as well, former Commissioner. You mentioned an onslaught of lobbying on the Commission services. Do you fear at all that this onslaught has been successful and that Mr. Barroso is making you take the hit to hide a maybe a deeper perverse relationship between the tobacco industry and the Commission?
Well, I can talk about my fellow commissioners. That from the discussions I have had with them, okay, even in spite of this type of lobbying, they were very supportive of the directive as we're proposing.
So last but one, please.
At administrative level, do you think?
Yes, I wouldn't know, really. I wouldn't know. I'm not.
Well, you're in charge of your own administration, aren't you?
Of my own administration, yes. And in my own administration, I don't think there was any doubt that they were very transparent. In fact, again, this is proven by the OLAF report itself, which states that they guarantee that the decision-making process has been untainted and that it has been transparent all the way. So there was no influence at all of anything that was happening on the decision process that we were having. And this is the real proof.
I just wanted to ask finally whether you now regret your decision to offer to resign in the meeting with Mr. Barroso. So I think what most people would find very difficult to understand is if you're presented with allegations against you that are false and that you have no knowledge of, even if there is some kind of legal provision that can force you to resign, to actually do that yourself willingly seems like an admission of guilt. If I was asked to resign over something that I hadn't done, even if it was written in my contract that I had to accept it, I still wouldn't give them the satisfaction of saying those words. I would let them actually force me to do it. So why did you do that? I don't
But non-resigning was not an option.
You didn't have to say the words yourself.
But the effect would have been completely the same.
Not in terms of perception.
In terms of perception. Probably you're right, I should have walked out of the door. But
how can you go and take this issue to court if you have actually offered to resign?
Pardon?
If you offer to resign... And then
I haven't offered to resign. I was forced to resign. I have not offered to resign. In fact, I spent an hour contesting the resignation. I have never offered to resign. No, absolutely.
I will resign.
Absolutely. It's not a good. I've never offered to resign. I was forced to resign.
Who was present at the meeting? Who was present at the meeting?
Ivo, please.
One last question.
We have Mr. Dalli has to respect. He has an appointment with a lawyer. We have agreed for face-to-face interviews, so we really have to come
One last
to an end.
question, because it's related with the judicial challenges, and I understand that you still have to talk it over with your lawyers. But who would the file be against? Barroso, OLAF, the Swedish company? Who?
We know what we know today. Okay, what we know today is the effect of my forced resignation from the Commission. Okay? We know of Olaf's press release in, I believe, breach of my right of presumption of innocence, and of Olaf's protocol for anonymity, for confidentiality. Okay. When I see the report, then there could be other reasons and other bases for action.